Welcome back again. This is another new episode of Beyond Barriers. Here we talk about the disabilities, we look onto the issues, we look onto the problems that these people undergoes through. So if you have not subscribed, if you have not liked, and if you have not shared, kindly do so. Today we want to talk about the dysgraphia. There's also another disorder under the classifications of disorders that we have been talking about. This is a kind of a disease or a disability that affects the person's writing abilities. It makes it difficult to write clearly, coherently, and or write with speed expected for their age and intellectual ability. So this is a kind of a disability now when someone is having a problems with the writing. It is important to understand that this kind of disability is not a reflection of is not a reflection of a person's intelligence or a creativity. This is a disorder that involves the complex skills required for writing, which include fine motor control, talking of the bones, talking of the language processing, talking of the ability to translate this kind of issues. So here is where you are having a problems with the writing skills, writing problems. And now the symptoms of this kind of a disease. Number one are the poor or illegible handwriting. So you'll find if it's a learner, then the person is having a bit problems with the writing, having a bit problems with the handwriting. It's kind of poor handwriting. So they are much there inconsistent of the letters, the size there, the shape, and also the mixing of the letters. Then there's also a certain part under the challenges, that is under slow and labored writing speed. So you find that the speed of the person suffering from this kind of disability is of low. Some words it take the learner a bit of time for him or her to write this kind of words. Then it is also difficult with spacing of words. So you find that after writing, you have to give space. So the learner is having a problems with spacing letters and words. Then we also have awkward spelling grip. So you find that in this part, the learner is having trouble with other tasks requiring fine motor skills. That's also another challenge. There's also challenge like difficult organizing thoughts on paper. You have the thoughts on the brain, but now when bringing them out to the paper, it's becoming a big problem. There is grammatical and syntax error. So you find that the learner is having a lot of errors when you are having a kind of writing. Then there's trouble with note taking of writing that may miss important information. So you find the learner having problem with this kind of disability. There are some causes and types of dysgraphia, as you know that the causes, these are the exact cause of development or developmental dysgraphia. These the type that appear in childhood. So these are the kind of things that you can see in the learner when the learner is still growing up under the act of childhood. So it's not fully understood, but it is believed to be rooted in neurological differences that affect the motor cognition that processing skills need for writing. So this you'll understand from the learner when the learner is still under the childhood. In adults, it's acquired through a certain aspect known as the dysgraphia. It's acquired dysgraphia. So this is something that is being acquired. Usually it results from a specific event. This like a disease, stroke. We all know stroke. So this is another cause of it, or from a brain injury. So when you have a brain injury, it gives you problems with the thinking and how to interpret now what you are thinking of. So those are kind of the causes types. We have the motor dysgraphia. This is primarily caused by deficit in fine motor skills, muscle tones, and motor clumsiness. This brings more in poor handwriting, copied work, and spelling errors. Another type, we have spatial dysgraphia. These result from difficulties with spatial awareness or visual spatial processing. And then we have the last one, we have the dysgraphia. These linked to languages, processing issues, spontaneous writing in often illegible, and spelling is very much poor, but copied work is relatively neat and legible. So you find that here there's kind of, the learner may have a problem in terms of language, but now if you give a certain task to the learner to copy, it's gonna be neat and much legible. Then we can also support this kind of disability, and we also look at the diagnosis. So when you start with the diagnosis, you find that it's typically done psychologist or a specialist that can do that kind of processing. So those process that can be done with the psychologist are, you can do the writing test, so that you evaluate on the handwritings, you evaluate on the ability of someone thinking. Then you can also diagnose with the fine motor skills challenges, this through observing. So look at the observation and the physical act of writing. Then academic and IQ test. So you can have kind of questions that you can give the learner. Then you will come to a conclusion of how to diagnose someone with this kind of a disability. So the last part is now the support strategies. This is how now we can support this kind of people who are having this particular disability. So under there we can accommodate. So under there we have accommodation. So accommodate, we can provide them with the computers, we can provide them with the laptops and tablets. These will help a lot in matters of learning. Then employing speech to text. This is now a dictation software, so that improves more to the learners on how to write and text. Again, allowing oral exams or presentations instead of written reports. So you allow more of orally, where you verbally talk through mouth to mouth. Then using pencil grips or specialized writing tools. Those are under accommodation. The second one is under instruction. So most of the times we target teaching to improve specific skills. By here, we look on how to occupation therapy to work on fine motor skills. This is now where we give to the psychologist or the therapist to help. Then the last part is where we look onto the modification, adjusting the requirement of someone's task. Here we reduce the amount of required written work, but we give more of orally. Then focusing grading on content ideas rather than solely on neatness and spelling. These all will help us to improve more in this kind of disability. So these, through the help of you, through the help of I and all of us, we can help this part or this type of disability, where it's entailing more about the effects on someone's ability on how to write, how to make speed in writing, how to that affects someone's specific learning disability. And we manage all of us to help. Thank you. Subscribe, like, and share. Bye.